this is Eduardo Jambo. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can install WordPress inside a container. But we're going to do something different. So normally the way containers work is you need to have different containers for each of the stack. So I'll explain what that is in a second. So basically what that means is that you see we need to have this stack. So for example, you need an operating system, so that will be Linux, and then you need some type of HTTP server. Normally it's Apache, that's what's called LAMP. And obviously if it's Windows, that's because the W stands for Windows and the MAMP stands for Mac. So WWAMP, so you get the point. So the A usually stands for Apache, but this time we're going to use Nginx. And then the M stands for MySQL, but I'm going to use MariaDB because MariaDB started as a fork of MySQL, and it is compatible. They try to be as good as much as possible, so that's good news. And obviously the P stands for PHP. Now there have been others where it is Perl or Python, but we know it's PHP, and that's what it's going to be. So my Linux of choice is going to be Fedora. Yes, I know it's a little bit heavy. The reason I do that is because for this tutorial I want everything working. I don't want to have to go and have to install extra packages when everything's there. In a future tutorial I'll show you how you can use different operating systems or different distros in order to do the same thing and to be more compact. So as I was saying is I'm going to use Podman, which is a free open source cross-platform container manager. That's what Pod stand Podman, the man part stands for manager. So I've made tutorials before using Podman. So it's a drop-in replacement for Docker. So one of the issues with containers is, as I was saying, is for each of that stack, you see, like you need Linux, Nginx, MariaDB, and PHP. You'd have 4 containers, and then you could create one pod, meaning that you have these 4 containers, and then you group them together until you create a pod. However, for my particular use case, I'll give you an example. So on my local system, I tried to install Magento, and that was a failure because it needs a very specific version of, I believe, PHP. It doesn't work with PHP 8.3. So the community version. So that's an issue. And for example, when I was installing ZenCard in a previous tutorial as well, ZenCard 1.5 in order to upgrade it to the latest 2.10 series. It's hard coded to only take up to PHP 8.2. So it didn't work with PHP 8.3, which is my local system. So in this particular case, if I used the containers the way they're intended to be used, is that I would have one container with PHP 8.3, one container with PHP 8.2. Well, because 8.3 is installed on my system, I guess I could bypass that and do something else. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted everything contained in one container because my use case, it's only me. I'm not going to be sharing this with anybody else. I mean, except the video, you can see how you can do it yourself. Okay, that's basically why we do that. And I forgot to mention this in my last 2 tutorials, but just be aware that the way the Podman works is it creates the pods by default in your home folder. So the problem with that is some of these pods they can get very, very large, and then, for example, even right now 2025, most people probably have a very fast SSD drive as for their home partition or their home folder, things like that, and they probably still use mechanical disks or slow SSDs for their data and everything else. So my use case is I don't want my smaller SSD drive to be filled up with too many pods. That's another reason I also want to put everything into one container. As I said, in the future we will work around to to actually use separate containers. But for this particular, and for me, I don't really need separate containers because most of the software I use or the applications and platforms, they do have a version which works with everything that I have on my Fedora Linux. So I don't need to worry about that. But I'm saying is for this particular use case, I wanted to do this as well. So what we're going to do for this tutorial is we're going to jump to the command line. We're going to create a Docker file. So the Docker file, what it will do is it will get the latest version of Fedora Linux. It will install all the requirements. Install Nginx. It will install MariaDB. It will install PHP. And then it'll also download WordPress and put it into the default Nginx web folder. And then what I'll do is I will there's some commands I have to run, which this script, the Docker file, will also have to make sure that MariaDB is ready to go. And then we'll log into the pod and start some services, and then we'll be able to actually see installation of WordPress in real time. One of the problems I remember, it's not really a problem, but one of the issues I had is that because of the way containers are, the intended purpose was that there's only one entry point, meaning that you can only run one command. So for example, if I was only installing Nginx, I could have Nginx running on the foreground. The problem is I need to have, I need to have obviously the database running, and have obviously PHP at least can run in isolation, but I also need that to be running, especially FPM. And so because I need three things, and obviously the Nginx, that's three, there's only one entry point, so that's a problem. However, I have a solution for that, and I'll show you what I decided to do. So this is, if you're wondering what type of system I'm using, this is my workstation. It's Intel i7 2600. This is from 2011. It's got 16 gig RAM, and this is the SSD. And they have obviously it's Fedora Linux, so 41. That's the latest one at the time of this recording, and I'm using GNOME 47. That's not really that important. Okay, so I'm gonna explain all this. So the first thing we need to do is we need to I'm gonna create a services script. It will just make our life easier. Oh my, there's a spelling mistake here. Okay, I'll fix that later. It will make our life easier in that in the future when we need to run things, it's just, I'm saying you don't have to. You can just type in the command every time, but having a script will just make our life easier. For the first time doesn't matter. It's just subsequent times. And hopefully in the future when they decide to give us maybe either more entry points or they allow us to run services at the startup, we'll be able to run this script file as well. So we don't need to do this every single time. Then in that case, we can run just one container with everything inside. Instead of creating a pod with grouping everything. And this is our Docker file, and we can build and run, enter the pod, and then one of the reasons we need to enter at least one time is we need to generate the WordPress database. Now I could use Docker, something like a Compose or Podman Compose or something like that. But this is just a simpler way, because before I do that, you need to understand how everything works anyway. So it's better to, it's not a hard way, just understand how it works, then you'll be able to do the composing yourself. Okay, so let's actually jump to the command line and get started here. So I'll get rid of this. Oh, be sure to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments for more frequent content. And quick reminder that every day I do live stream. You simply go to jumbo.com, you go under the watch menu, live, and you can see the current or the future live stream, and you see the channel it's going to be on and the approximate time. So normally it's around 2 p.m. So right now this is the one that's live. It's on Odyssey. And also just a quick reminder that Podman was originally used to compile PHP for the Learning PHP course on jumbo.com. Okay, so let's as I said, let's get, so because I'm going to be doing everything on the command line, I'm pretty sure you know where to get WordPress. You get it from wordpress.org. I don't know if I put a link in here. Let's see if I put a, no, okay, I did not. But yeah, you can get WordPress from wordpress.org. And Nginx is obviously from, did I put links down here at least in the footer? Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, so I'll open this up quickly. This is where you get, this is Podman, WordPress, Nginx, MariaDB, and PHP. So I'll open up so you can see websites before we get started. Maybe I should leave them here, so I'm not too sure. Okay, so this is WordPress. It's basically a it's a content management system. Podman is the one. This manages our containers. It can also manage pods, images, and it can work with other containers and this Kubernetes. I don't know how to pronounce that. And you can see both. Everything is open source. And this is Nginx. This is going to be a HTTP server, but it also does reverse proxy, content cache, load balancer, TCP, UDP, proxy server, and a mail proxy server. I'll explain this in, well, I can explain it today. So this is one of the reasons I decided to use it, because it's lightweight and it's fast. So at least in the past, it used to be way faster, 2 to 3 times faster than Apache. And then this is MariaDB, so this is the database we'll be using. We'll get whatever the latest version is. I believe it's 10.11 in Fedora. So we just use the Fedora one, but you can actually go here and download it yourself. It's cross-platform, and here's PHP, which is also cross-platform. So the PHP which Fedora has will be probably this one, 8.3. Actually, this just got released the day before, so this might not be ready yet, but it'll be 8.3 series. Okay, so we might come back and go to this if it takes too long on the command line. So this is the folder I created here. It's called Nginx WordPress. There's probably not going to be much in here, but because everything will be inside the container, but you'll see how long it takes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a console here and paste here so you can see better. See what commands I type. I need to resize this. Okay, that's better. Now zoom in. Now clear the screen. Zoom in so you can see. Okay. As I said, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the scripts. We're going to create the scripts so that this can run. So we don't have to do this every single time. And I'll explain what this does. So no hap means it runs in the background. And we need to start PHP FPM. And when you start it on the command line, you need to point it to the INI file. That's the configuration file. So that's in the default location. And then also there is, so which one is it here? This is the MariaDB. We point it to the data directory. By default, it's here, but on some systems, you might need to put it on what type of user. So it's a MySQL user. So this will be created, and I'll show you how to do that when we log in. So this is a services script. This is it. So I don't need to show this to you. It's very simply. It just has like literally 2 lines. This up here and this one. It's 2 lines. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our Docker file. So the Docker file will be the script that will get the will be used for building our container. Okay, so what's happening here is I will okay, I think I'll open this up so I can show it to you. It'll be easier to explain it here. It's just better when it's color coded. Okay, okay, that's good enough. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Actually, let me make it bigger so you can even see it. Oh, I can make it full screen. Let me make it full screen so I can zoom in even better, more. There we go. Okay, So when it says from, this is going to be the base, Fedora. It's going to use Fedora, that's a Linux distro. It's going to get the latest version. Right now, it's Fedora 41. Then the first thing it will do, a DNF update. That means it will just update whatever packages are there. If you remember, we just found out that PHP, the 8.3, the one just got released yesterday. So there might be an update. So we want to do an update because this latest probably won't have it. So we just that's what we need to update. So so we get all the latest packages, and after that, we install. You see, we install the Nginx. Then we install the MariaDB server. Then we install some PHP packages. So PHP and then PHP common, PHP FPM. This is a very important one, and we need this one as well, the MySQL. So this allows us to connect to the MariaDB server. And then this one is actually needed for WordPress. This is for images. The GD, that's the graphic library that's built into, it's not WordPress, I meant PHP. WordPress does require this. And wget is so that, I'll explain that literally on the next line. And then after that, we clean. So clean means that when it downloads this package and installs them, it leaves the archives version on your server. So the clean will remove them, so uses up less space. Wget, this is a command line to get to download files. So you see, we get the latest one from WordPress, latest WordPress here. And then what we do is we then place it into this folder here, which is this is the default Nginx web folder. And then you see these two ampersands. This means and, meaning it's going to run this command. It's going to and run this command. This slash here, backslash, this means that just go to the next line. Now we could have done everything on one line, just like the line 2 here, but it just looks better here. So we just separate out because each line is very long. So it's not as simple as this, you see. Nginx, just one word and this, so that's fine. But here we have completely different line here. So then after that, we then extract it. So it's because we're getting the tar zip file, we extract it. So the V here stands for verbose. The X means extract. This letter here means it's a zip file. So Z or Z, and then F means force, meaning sometimes there might be errors and it will not continue. So F means continue force. So we take the file in here, then we extract it to the same folder. Then when we're done, so what happens is it's going to extract into a folder called WordPress. So then what we do is we take that WordPress folder, everything inside the WordPress folder, so that's why it's a /*. We then place it into the HTML folder. The reason we're doing this is because for this particular tutorial, I do not care about having separate folders. I can do that, but I don't really care about that. I said this is just a container. It's only going to contain one thing, WordPress. And then after that, I remove the tar zip file. It's no longer needed, and you should never leave anything into your good practice not to leave archived files in your web root. I've seen people actually back up databases and then leave that stuff and they use a name like backup.zip, and they leave it in their web root. Not very bright. And of course, after that, we remove the folder, the WordPress folder. So you need to use R because that means recursive, and F to force. You can just get away with F. Sometimes R, one of them should be fine. So that should so that would delete this folder. Then after that, what I do is I run this command MySQL install DB. So what this will do is it will create some it will create, for example, in the /var lib, it will create this folder called MySQL, and it will put the base MySQL database information, for example, permissions and all those things. So we'll put them in there. But the problem is when you run this, it runs it as an administrator, super administrator. That's a root user. So that's why the command below it, I have to change on means change ownership. So I'll give it to the MySQL user, the MySQL group, permissions to this folder, and I also give it to the log file, because when you run MySQL or MariaDB, it needs to get access to the log file as well. Now, this here, you might be wondering why this /var log is not MySQL. Remember, we're using MariaDB, so that's why this has to be MariaDB. If you put MySQL, the command will run, but when you the MySQL will fail because it's not able to write to the log file. Okay, then after that, what happens is you need to create a folder for PHP FPM. -p means that if it doesn't exist, you create it. So this allows you, if you had several nested folders, it will create them for you. And then again, we're going to change the ownership of this folder to be the Nginx user. So the Nginx user, and then after that, we change the permissions to 755. I'll explain that in a second. This was change ownership. This is permission mode. So 7 means that the owner can read, write, and execute, do whatever they want in that folder or file. The 5 means the group is able to execute, meaning you can read and execute. So for example, because this Nginx will need to execute this file, so it will be able to do that. And the 5, the one at the end here, that means everybody else, meaning the road, they can do the same thing. So for example, obviously root user can do that, and maybe other users might want to, for example, let's say we decide to go away from Nginx, and we say, obviously the owner is here, so whoever is in that group will have the 5, and everybody else will be 5 as well if they need to, but they won't be able to create anything in that folder. And if you remember here, we create this one, starts services.sh, which I think I opened up here. It's right here as well. So we opened that up, we had that as well. So what will happen is we copied into the /start services. So this way we can run this, but we can't run it. So first thing we need to do is we need to change the permission +x, meaning give it a 5 here to be able to execute it. And then we do start it, but this doesn't work. And then because the entry point, the problem is you only allowed one entry point, and so the entry point we decided to use was Nginx. So for Nginx, to keep it in the foreground, you need to have -g and daemon off, meaning that you want it to run as a daemon. So that means that it continuously runs. That's what you want. So if we go back to our start services, I explained it in the command line, but I'll explain it one more time before we get out of here. You see, I want to run a PHP FPM. It's going to use the PHP INI, that's the configuration, and then that's a PHP configuration. And then it's also going to use a PHP FPM configuration. So you might change this. For example, if you wanna do some limits, how much FPM is, it's like a cache for PHP, so you can tweak it here. These are the base PHP configuration stuff. So you can read both, and then this is for the MySQL. You tell it what user to use and where to find the MySQL folder where it can create databases and tables. Okay, so that's useful. All right, so now that we've done this, we create a Docker file here, and we have our start services. Now what we can do is we can actually build it. So this will probably take a while. So we're going to create a name for it. I'll say tag my Nginx, and what file to use. So we're going to use the Docker file. So as you can see here, let me actually. So what if see what I did here? If I'll go over the top here. So when I hit build, it grabbed the latest Fedora. It's pretty fast. Then what it did is it did an update, and it then installed all these files. Now, because I've run this before, so it is able to grab it from a cache, which is great. So that saves us time. Then what it did here, you see on step 3, it got WordPress, It then put WordPress in this folder as I showed you, and then it did all these things like to remove the folder. Because I've done that before, so then it using a cached, and then it runs my install DB. So this installs a few things, which is great. And then what it does is it changed the ownership of all this as well, so that's fantastic. And then finally it created this folder PHP FPM and changed the ownership of that folder to Nginx, and then it copied the stat services and it's able to run the stat services and then an entry point. So now if so that means it has built for example, if I go to Podman and I put images, it has built an images for us, you see, right here, my Nginx. So it has built this folder. And you can see the size is almost a gig, right? Because of all installing all of that. Now you can see the Fedora latest, it's only 165, but because I've created this image, you see the image is 1 gig. This is what I was saying before, is that I don't want to have many images, each of them with a separate service. Now, if I was running multiple servers, that makes sense, but in my case, it doesn't make sense. Now, of course, I said I could have used a less bloated operating system, but it is as it is. Okay. Now, I'm going to actually run. So we'll just type podman run. Now, by default, it uses port 80. But on my workstation, I do use port 80 because I also have Apache running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the port. I'm going to forward it to port 8080 because I'm not using that locally. Remember, I use 8000 sometimes when I run the PHP built-in web server. So I'm going to basically, what this does is it takes port 80, which is inside the pod, and it's going to be forwarded to my workstation as port 8080. And then after that, because there's 2 ports, this is for the server, and then I need another port for the database, which is 33. So I'll just make up a number 337, 3306. So the default port for MySQL is 3306, but as I said, I can't use that because on my workstation I'm already using that for MariaDB. So I'm gonna forward it to 3307. You know, I'm gonna give this a name. So I'm gonna call it my Nginx WP. So I don't want to use the same name as this one here. You see this image? It's so I just appended WP, and then I will say run it detached, and the container it's going to use as a base is Nginx. So it's running. Now to show you that it's running, I just put podman ps -a, and you see it's running. It tells me, actually let me see if I can maximize this. Yeah, here we go. That's much better. So it tells me, you see it's running actually I should zoom out a little bit. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So you see it's running, it's based on this one, and it was created 6 seconds ago, and the status is up. So because it's up, that's fantastic. And you see the port numbers 3307, 3306, and 8080 to 80. So meaning that if I want to connect to the pod, this is the port numbers I would use. If, for example, if I want to connect to its database, this is the port I would use. And if I want to connect to the HTTP, which I would use this one as well. Now, Nginx is up and running. I can show you that, but the database is not. So I'll prove it to you. So if we go back here and I type in, I can type in anything. So I'll type in localhost. So I'll just type in localhost 8080. You see, Nginx is running. So I think there's an index file. So I'll type index.html. I'm not sure. Yeah. So see, it is running, and Nginx is running. This is the default. It's in Fedora. So this is right inside the pod. It's running. However, I don't want to go to the I don't want to install anything yet. I'm saying I believe there's a PHP file. It should be PHP as well. Yeah. So this is not working yet because the database is not running and the PHP is actually not running. So that's why it gave us an error. So, but it is running. So let's go back here. Yeah, I'll leave it maximized. So for now, so what we need to do is I need to enter the pod, this specific pod. You see this? I can use the container ID here, or I can use the name. I prefer the name. So what I can do is you type Podman, execute it my Nginx WP, and I want to use bin bash. Did I spell it wrong? Oh, I spelled it wrong. I forgot to put the N here. Okay, I spelled it wrong. That's fine. So I'm inside. You see it's root here, and I'm using the when it says root at this, you see this is the ID, and that's the idea here. So I'm inside. Okay, now that I'm inside the pod, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run MySQL in safe mode. The reason is I need to create a root. I need to create a root password. So then what I will do is MySQL crew. So I become root. So you can see it's running as I predicted, 10.11.11. That's MariaDB. So now I'm inside. The first thing I need to do is I need to create a root password. So I'll alter user root at localhost identified by. So I'm going to make up a password here. Say root. Now, if this was on a production, obviously you'd come up with a much better password. I'm just doing this because I need to create something, and then obviously this is just for purposes for this tutorial, but obviously you should always use a strong password. So I'll create a database. I'll call the database WordPress. I'm just lazy. Oh, actually, yeah, I'll call it WordPress. Okay. Then I need to create a database user. I could use the root user, but I don't recommend that. So I say user. I'll call the user WordPress. I'm just lazy today. Localhost identified by. Okay, WordPress pass. Very convenient. All right, and then of yours, I need to grant all privilege. How do you spell? I always get privileges wrong spelling. Is it GS on? What's the database I called WordPress? No, all to. What's the guy's name? WordPress at localhost. And then on some older databases, you always need to flash privileges. Okay, so we're done. We can just exit. Now, if you remember, we did create our start services. So I just type start services. Okay. Now, I can exit this if I really want, which I will actually. I'll just exit. Okay, and I'm back. You see I've exited, I'm back. Now if I go back here, if you remember, PHP wasn't working. Now if I refresh, you see, now PHP is working. And I can hit let go, and you see what's the name of what's the database? I think it was called WordPress. And what username do I, oh yeah, I think I also called that WordPress. I hope I didn't make a spelling mistake. WordPress pass. Okay, I'll leave that. If this doesn't work, I most likely, oh, says unable to create. You need to create. So I'm going to copy this. So copy this. And let's go back to the command line. And I believe it's /user Nginx. Oops. I can't remember what was that folder where the Nginx was. It's in a Docker file. Oh, /user/share. Okay, there we go. /user/share. Was it Nginx? Yes, HTML. Okay, so is Nano installed? Hopefully it is. WP conf. Oh, the file doesn't exist. Okay. That's fine. Let me see actually who owns all this here. Oh, root. Oh, it's a root user. That's probably why. I should probably change everybody here to root user, but that's fine. I will. I'll just create a say nano wp config.php. Oh, nano is not found. Okay, fine. I'll use vim. Okay, I believe I should be able to paste. Yes. Okay, then I don't know what mode I'm in. WQ. Okay. So let's see if I can, after done that, say run installation. There we go. So what do I want to call this? I'll call it WordPress pod. And I'll call admin here. I don't need this password, but I'll just copy it just to show you that things actually do work. Where should I dump this? Okay, your email address, I'll say edward@ojamboshow.local. Okay, disable. Because remember, it does have it. So we go. I can log in. I think it was admin. And here we go. And you see, I'm actually running, as you saw right here, I'm actually running this inside a pod. It's running Nginx, and you can see it's been installed. We have the full version of WordPress. This is a little bit zoomed in, but as you can see, it does work. Everything is here. Let's actually go check the status. Visit the site health screen. So it has one critical issue, but you can see here you can remove, so if it doesn't use HTTPS, that's not a problem. I'm actually more interested in the info here. So the server, let's check out the server. So this is, you see, it's right. The web server is actually Nginx 1.26.3. PHP version 8.13.19. And you see it's using PHP FPM. And these are the default settings for the PHP This is a PHP INI file. You see the memory limit and all this as well. This is all default that comes with it. So as I was saying is, one of the reasons I use Fedora, I know it's a bloated system because you see I didn't have to install curl. Curl was already installed. Or OpenSSL was already installed. So I didn't have to install any of these things. That's why I had that. And you see, I didn't install the ImageMagick library. The GD is good enough. And a pretty permalink supported says yes. I'm actually surprised because, interesting. It says pretty URLs are supported, but are they enabled though? I'm wondering if they're enabled by default. I'm actually going to check it out. Let's go to let's view Hello World and see what actually. Yeah, it's not supported. I'm curious to, let's go to the settings. I'm going to see, what if I choose post name? Is it going to give us, I wonder what it's going to say there. No, normally it tells you down here, it tells you what to write into your HTTP access file. That's also useful for Apache. I thought it would automatically detect it's running on Nginx. I guess it does not. So let me refresh this page. Yeah, it's not found. That's what I thought. So I haven't done the pretty URLs in Nginx. I'll do that in a future tutorial. So let me just save that back. And let's see. I think it was the, oh wow. I think it was question mark P1. There we go. There we go. So there we go. So as you saw, we installed, we created a pod that has Fedora Linux, it has Nginx, it has MariaDB, and has PHP FPM. And it's actually really fast. Now, of course, it's also running on SSD, so, but this could even be faster if I was using Valkey. Okay, so that's the end of I guess, the tutorial part of the coding and everything. So we can go back to the article here, which is available on ojambo.com/pod-container-running-wordpress-with-Nginx. Quick reminder that I host a live stream every day. You simply go to ojambo.com, you click on the watch menu, live, and you can see which one is current and which one is upcoming, and there's approximate date and time, so you'll be able to follow on your channel. Be sure to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments for more frequent content. If you enjoyed this, please consider supporting me. Purchase one of my WordPress plugins at ojambo.com. Enroll in my programming courses at ojamboshop.com. Buying my programming books on Amazon. Search for Edward Ojambo. Links in the description. You can hire me for your programming and app development needs at ojamboservices.com, or you can become a donor at ojambo.com/donate. So the donate is here. It's also up here in the header for your convenience. You see, just click on the icon there. So that's it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.